From the Opubco Studios in Oklahoma City, this is an OSU update with John Helsley. I'm Jenny Carlson. Baylor comes to town on Saturday night. Big game everybody knows about, but the last 10 times Baylor has come to Stillwater ended in losses for the Bears. That's to 1939. Obviously had some years they didn't play in there, but John, I think most importantly are these last two games that Baylor's come to town. Under Art Briles, under this resurgence, with Robert Griffin III, did not turn out so well.
Did not turn out so well. And those were good Baylor teams, as we mentioned, and teams that had played well throughout their season, and yet for whatever reason they got to Stillwater and they didn't play to form. Those games were over by halftime for the most part. RG3 did not play well. The offense did not click. And it's fascinating because they were good. Those were two good teams. And the interesting question then becomes, is there any relevance in this meeting?
Well, we'll talk about that in a second. But Kai Staley was asked about those last two games and why the Cowboys were able to dominate so much on the Bears.
Just testament to our good what's what I'm looking for, good scouting, finding out what the strong points are, what the weaknesses are, and just executing on them. They've had RG3, obviously a Heisman Trophy winner, came in, just shut him down, and our defense did an excellent job, and our offense executed.
So, John, what is the potential relevance in this game with the last two times Baylor's been in town?
I'm not sure you ever really know, but we made a big deal of it last week when we talked about how OSU had confidence and experience of going and winning at Texas, and then they won again. Why doesn't the flip side perhaps apply here? These are some different players for Baylor, obviously, but a lot of OSU players were there on the field those 2 years, and at least for the OSU side, they should have confidence and they should feel pretty good about themselves and their ability to maybe get this done.
Mentally feeling good. This Baylor team is slightly different, though. That defense is better than the last two times they've come to Stillwater, isn't it?
I think it is. It's a very fast defense. I think this is the best complete Baylor team that they've had. Let's see what happens. They get in there. They haven't been a great road team over all of these years. Probably their worst game this year was at Kansas State. So there's some things to get over. I do expect a very entertaining, competitive game.
Should be fun. Thanks, John. Sure, stay with the best coverage team anywhere at newsok.com and every day in the Oklahoman. From the Opubco Studios in Oklahoma City, this is an OU update with Ryan Aber. I'm Jenny Carlson. Ryan, the Sooner basketball team got a good first test with Alabama to start the season, but now they're on a collision course with a really big test. Coaches versus Cancer this weekend. What's on the horizon for this team?
Well, they'll face Seton Hall on Friday in the Coaches versus Cancer Classic at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn, New York. If they're able to get by that game, and they should, looking at sort of the head-to-head matchup, they'll likely face Michigan State, who took over the #1 ranking in college basketball this week. So a huge test for them coming up.
Definitely so, and on back-to-back days, too. You're talking Friday, Saturday.
Absolutely.
But they have had some time to get in the practice gym here of late between games, between now and the time that they have to go to New York. What have they been focusing on?
Well, I think the big thing they've been focusing on is defense. The defense has been pretty inconsistent the first three games, and I think a lot of that is due to the new rules, just feeling themselves out on how much they can sort of toe up to that line without going over it. They had been a little timid on the defensive side in the first three games. That started to change a little bit in the last game against Idaho. They were able to figure out how to ride that line a little bit better. But certainly this was a good time after 3 games in 6 days to be able to take some time and work on those things in practice.
And if they played Michigan State, they're going to know how to play some defense, right?
Absolutely. If there's one thing that Tom Izzo's team does, it's play defense. So they're going to have to work for every possession on the offensive end, and that's going to amplify how big the defensive side is.
All right. Thanks, Ryan. Sure, stay with the best coverage team anywhere at newsok.com and every day in the Oklahoman.